Western Neo-Aramaic is a modern Aramaic language. Today, it is spoken in 3 villages in the anti-Lebanon mountains of western Syria. Western Neo-Aramaic is the only living language among the Western Aramaic languages. All other Neo-Aramaic languages are of the Eastern Aramaic branch. Distribution and history. Western Neo-Aramaic is probably the last surviving remnant of a Western Middle Aramaic dialect which was spoken throughout the Orontes River Valley area and into the anti-Lebanon mountains in the 6th century. It now is spoken solely by the villages of Marlola, Jubadin and Bakar, about 60 kilometers northeast of Damascus. It is also experiencing a revival in Jish. The continuation of this little cluster of Aramaic in a sea of Arabic is partly due to the relative isolation of the villages and their close-knit Christian communities. Following the rise of Islam and ensuing mass conversions of the local indigenous populations to Islam and the linguistic shift to Arabic of the newly converted Muslims, but also the remaining Christians, soon followed, and the Arabic language displaced various Aramaic languages as the mother tongue of the majority of the people. Despite this, Western Aramaic appears to have survived for a relatively long time, at least in some villages in mountainous areas of Lebanon and the anti-Lebanon. In fact, up until the 17th century, travelers in the Lebanon still reported on several Aramaic-speaking villages. In the last 3 villages where the language still survives, the dialect of Bakar appears to be the most conservative. It has been less influenced by Arabic than the other dialects, and retains some vocabulary that is obsolete in other dialects. The dialect of Jubadin has changed the most. It is heavily influenced by Arabic, and has a more developed phonology. The dialect of Marlola is somewhere between the two, but is closer to that of Jubadin. Cross-linguistic influence between Aramaic and Arabic has been mutual, as Syrian Arabic itself retains an Aramaic substratum. As in most of the Levant prior to the introduction of Islam in the 7th century AD, the villages were originally all Christian. However, Marlola is the only village that retains a sizable Christian population, as most of the inhabitants of Bakar and Jubadin adopted Islam over the generations, and are now all Muslim. Marlola glows in the pale blue wash with which houses are painted every year in honor of Mary, Mother of Jesus. All 3 remaining Western Neo-Aramaic dialects are facing critical endangerment as living languages. As with any village community in the 21st century, young residents are migrating into major cities like Damascus and Aleppo in search of better employment opportunities, thus forcing them into monolingual Arabic-speaking settings, in turn straining the opportunity to actively maintain Neo-Aramaic as a language of daily use. Nevertheless, the Syrian government provides support for teaching the language. Since 2007, Marlola has been home to an Aramaic institute established by the Damascus University that teaches courses to keep the language alive. The institute's activities were suspended in 2010 amidst fears that the square Aramaic alphabet used in the program too closely resembled the square script of modern Hebrew. The program will instead use the more distinct Syriac alphabet. Phonology. The phonology of Western Neo-Aramaic has developed quite differently from other Aramaic languages. The labial consonants of older Western Aramaic have been retained in Bakar and Marlola. Under influence from Arabic, Jubadin has collapsed the series to B and F. Amongst dental consonants, the fricatives theta th are retained while d is lost, having become th, and t has become ts in Bakar, and t in Marlola and Jubadin. However, t is the usual form for the relative particle in these 2 villages, with a variant ti, where Bakar always uses tsi. Among the velar consonants, the voice pair of has collapsed into The unvoiced velar fricative x is retained, but its plosive complement k has started to undergo palatalization. In Bakar, the palatalization is hardly apparent. In Malala, it is more obvious, and often leads to k. In Jubardine, it has become t, and has thus merged phonemically with the original t. The original uvular plosive q has also moved forward in Western Neo-Aramaic. In Bakar it has become a strongly post-velar plosive, and in Malala more lightly post-velar. In Jubardine, however, it has replaced the velar plosive, and become k.